Thought I'd do a different kind of video today, just summarizing basically what you can eat and some dietary guidelines for dialysis patients, maybe to help you get a better understanding of what you can and can't eat when you're doing dialysis. Actually got some paperwork today from my clinic that was really helpful, and I figured I'd just cover this and review it, maybe help somebody else out and help you guys with this, and maybe you could help me with some ideas with some food and drink that I can have on my diet, just to mix things up a little, and so I'm not eating all the same things all the time. I'm always looking for new things to eat, because it gets boring just eating what I know I can eat. I like to kind of branch out when I find something else that I'm allowed to eat on the diet and try something new. So anyhow, you always will have blood work when you're on dialysis every so often, depending on what your doctor wants you to do, and your blood work will help determine your levels of certain things in your body and how well you have to adhere to a dialysis diet and everything. Some things in that blood work that you need to pay attention to are potassium levels. And what potassium is, it's a nutrient. It's important to your heart and your muscle functions. And when you have failing kidneys, it's harder for your kidneys or your body to get rid of potassium. So when you have failing kidneys, it makes it harder for your body to excrete or get rid of potassium. So it's important that you don't have foods that have too much potassium in them too often. Some of these foods are like some fruits, potatoes, bananas, vegetables, beans, potato chips, things like that are all high in potassium. Tomatoes, like pizza sauce, spaghetti sauce, things like that. You can still have it, but probably not good to have it more than once or twice a week, depending on your potassium levels. That way you're not overdoing it on potassium, and you don't have an issue with high potassium. Another thing you have to watch is sodium. Sodium, salt. So it helps control your fluids going in and out of your body. If you have too much salt in your body, too much sodium, it's going to hold on to that fluid and not let you get rid of the fluid through dialysis, and you're going to swell more. And we all know swelling can cause breathing issues, make it hard to walk, things like that. So a lot of times when you're on dialysis, your kidneys are bad enough that they can't get rid of that sodium good enough or quick enough as a normal kidney. So it's going to be important that you watch your sodium intake. And you can just pretty much manage that by just paying attention how much salt is in foods, not eating processed foods, eating fresh foods. And what goes for everything here is the more you make fresh and you cook for yourself and at home, the better off you're going to be. If you go out to restaurants, a lot of restaurants have foods that are like loaded with salt, with potassium, phosphorus, things like that, there's a lot of fillers in those and preservatives, because restaurants sometimes they have frozen food because it's cheaper and it's easier to make. So you want fresh foods as much as possible. The third thing that your blood work's going to look at is phosphorus. And phosphorus levels are, well, actually phosphorus is in everything basically. So this is a tough one, and a lot of people are on phosphorus binders. And what those are pills that usually calcium based pills that you take prior to eating your meals. And what this does is the pill will actually, the binder will do what it says. It binds to the phosphorus in the food and kind of pulls it out. And then when you go to the bathroom, it takes out the phosphorus that way, because your kidneys aren't able to get the phosphorus out because of being, your kidneys have failed or they're in bad shape, so they're not able to do it like a normal person. You can find phosphorus basically, like I said, in everything: meats, fish, whole grains, dairy products, especially chocolate, beans, peas, nuts, stuff like that. It's also added to foods as a preservative. There's a lot of phosphorus in dark sodas such as Pepsi and Coca-Cola, so you want to stay away from those. The only dark soda my nephrologist tells me I'm allowed to have is root beer, and you got to watch root beer and make sure it doesn't have added phosphorus. Most root beers don't, but there are some that do, so make sure you pay attention to the label for anything that ends with an 8, like phosphate, citrate, things like that. Those are all preservatives and have phosphorus in them usually. Like phosphoric acid, caramel coloring, which you find in a lot of drinks like dark sodas. That's phosphorus, and that's an additive. One other thing that is going to show up in your blood work is your calcium levels, and that's basically, you're always told when you're younger to drink milk, keep your bones strong. Well, if your calcium's out of balance, you're going to become weak. Your bones are going to become weak and malformed. So when your kidneys fail, they can't balance the calcium levels like they used to. So you need to watch this. And you can get, if your calcium's low, you can get supplements from your clinic or your doctor to up your calcium levels. And this is the best way, just to, best way to keep that in check is just monitor your blood work. And there's really not a lot you can do other than that, and watch your diet. I mean, there's the two main things: monitor your blood work and watch your diet. And then another thing, and these two go together, are albumin and protein, and it's basically the same thing. Your albumin levels measures the protein in your blood, and the amino acids that are the building blocks of your proteins. So basically, if you have low albumin, you're going to have more trouble getting rid of fluid out of your body. You're going to swell more. You can have heart issues. You can have increased risk of infection, things like that. So you want to make sure your albumin levels are up, and you try to keep those up with eating lots of lean proteins: chicken, fish, turkey, beef, lamb, pork, egg whites, things like that are all very high in protein, and good to have for albumin and protein levels in your body. Now, the only issue with protein sometimes on a high protein diet is there is a lot of phosphorus in protein, so you're going to have higher phosphorus levels. So you got to make sure you take your binders with that protein when you're eating that. But it's a real fine line on a lot of things, and it's hard to keep everything balanced. It's constantly having to think about what you eat before you eat it, and make sure you eat and drink the right things. If you eat or drink the wrong thing, you're probably going to feel crappy afterwards. At least I do. And yeah, I'm not saying you can't eat all these other things that I was telling you not to eat, but you need to limit them. And I'm sure your doctor can tell you exactly what you need and to eat and what you need to stay away from. As I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you what works for me and what I've been told by my doctor. Everybody's different, just remember that. But anyways, and one other thing with the blood work, monitoring your blood work and everything else, you always want to obviously monitor your fluid intake, as if you drink too much water or have too much fluid, you're going to swell and have trouble getting all that fluid out, because the more fluid you put in your body, the more you have to get out through dialysis. And if you don't drink enough, especially on these hot summer days, you're going to get dehydrated. So there's a fine line of drinking too much and drinking too little, and you got to try to keep regulated there. So it's kind of like a full-time job for us dialysis patients and kidney disease patients to maintain a healthy diet and lifestyle once we're on dialysis. But if you can get used to it and you just monitor what you do, keep up with your blood work, keep up with your doctor's appointments, you'll be fine, and you'll be able to push through and just take one day at a time and do the best you can with it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll try to have some more videos soon. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Please check out the newest video to your right or the suggested video to the left, and please click on the center icon to subscribe to the channel to be notified of all new videos coming in the future. Thanks, and have a great day.